Hey, my name's Johnny Galvatron. I'm from Beethoven and Dinosaur. I do something there. I don't have a title. And I've been working on the Artful Escape for 37 years. And it's about to come out in September. That's me.
You must have been asked this a lot already, but I'm going to start off this interview by asking it one more time. Where did you get the idea for the Artful Escape? How do you think to create this video game version of a rock opera?
Well, I toured a lot as a young man. I got a record deal when I was, I think, about 19 through Warner Brothers, and my band had only played its first show 2 weeks before, I think. And then 2 weeks later, we had the record deal and we were on tour, and I wouldn't come home for 5 years, I don't think. So it was like this crazy experience that I generally didn't like at all. I don't really like touring. I don't like buses and planes and stuff. And when I came back from touring, I spent like 4 or 5 years just in my house, not leaving, because I never wanted to leave again. And I wrote a novel that I showed to no one. And then I kind of started writing this concept of a game that was like my fantasy version of what I thought the music industry and being a rock star was going to be when I was 17. And it's obviously influenced by a lot of like Pink Floyd and Van Halen and obviously David Bowie. I always love fantasy in my music. Obviously David Bowie has a lot of fantasy, Kiss have a lot of fantasy. And I kind of dreamed that's what being a rock star would be. But it's definitely not like that. There's a lot of smelly hotel rooms with no-tell motels and stuff like that. And I wanted to make a big extravaganza rock opera of my dreams.
It's easy for me to look at main character Francis Vendetti, and then I look at you, and it's easy for me to imagine him as Johnny Galvatron. So I want to ask, how much of yourself do you see in Francis?
Not a lot, because he's very good at guitar, and I'm trash. I think I relate a lot more to Lightman, who's a character in the story, who's a bit of a mentor, who's kind of a bit past it and looking for that spark again, that creative spark of what to do with his career. Yeah, so I mean, there's the optimistic young version of me maybe in Francis, but I think, I relate more to the older rocker.
How do you feel the Artful Escape story conveys the importance of a stage persona in music?
I've always been really fascinated in the satellite aspects of the music industry. I love how they kind of elevate the core medium. And there's a line in the game, the flowers aren't stuck in the vase, they're dancing with it. The way you present yourself, the images, the rumors, the music, the cinematography, everything that goes around, where you present yourself. There's those stories of Bowie having, sleeping on people's couches, but rocking up everywhere in limousines, which was all of his money. And I kind of love these satellite aspects of stage personas. And I think they're very liberating. Even people who don't have a specified name persona, I think definitely have stage personas. It's a different way of thinking, and it's like a mask that you can wear on stage and become someone else. And it was always like the thing that attracted me most to playing music.
Do you feel like music is missing those kinds of larger than life auteurs today? And is part of the Artful Escape's mission to remind people of what a larger than life personality like Bowie or like Freddie Mercury can bring to this art form?
Man, you're gonna get me in a lot of trouble with that question. That's tough. No, I don't think the music industry today is missing the musicians. I don't think it's missing the big personalities. I think there's just as much wonderful creative people in the music industry. I think music has obviously lost its mantle as kind of the torchbearer of youth and popular culture. It's existing in a time where, video games have become elite. It's a time of fucking Renaissance television, you know what I mean? It's got a lot of, and it's hard to rebel with your dad's record collection, you know what I mean? I think that these big personas and the music industry itself has kind of been imbued into all these different aspects and different mediums. There used to be this world of like mainstream music and mainstream alternative. And for me, like in Australia, that was like the big day out, and these kind of festivals that, and Channel V, which is, you know, your MTV, there was this like mainstream alternative, which is a hilarious kind of way to think about it. But now with Spotify, now with music losing its kind of its tangible existence as well, it seems to have lost value in the creative fields. And I think it's a lack of that mainstream alternative. Now the mainstream alternative is scattered to the wind. There's, you know, people can listen to fridge noises. People can listen to very, you know, alternative, very heavy music. And we're missing that kind of mainstream alternative. So, you know, I think it's a changing world. I definitely don't think it's to do with lack of talent.
So as Annapurna Interactive does, they've given this game a star-studded voice cast. So what are your feelings on Michael Johnston as Francis?
That kid's amazing. I can't believe how well he did. We were thinking of doing VO for the game a couple of years ago, and the voice studio just gave us a couple of actors just to hear how it would sound. And one of them was Michael, and I was like, that kid is lightning. And so 2 years go by, we're making the game, and we decide we're going to do the full VO cast. And I'm like, we've got to get that kid back. You know, we were talking about getting like some more kind of celebrity people, but like Michael is A, wonderful to work with, and B, is just like this awesome kind of Michael J. Fox circa a Back to the Future kind of vibe about him. And there's that famous line from Harrison Ford, like speaking to George Lucas, is like, you can write this shit, but you can't say it. And you know, I feel like you know, there's some crazy cosmic lines in the game, and he delivers them just like I believe him. So I was like so happy with Michael.
So you've been working on The Artful Escape for a very long time, and it started life as a Kickstarter way back in 2016. You first showed it off a year later in 2017. Here we are in 2021. It's about to cross the finish line. What does it mean to you that people are finally going to get to experience this story?
Pure terror, pure fear and terror. I think I'm so glad to be done with it. I kind of finished last week, so that's like been an amazing thing. I had a big weekend at home though, because we're in lockdown. So it was like I watched like Ghostbusters 2 and got really drunk. I'm so glad I kind of can't believe the game. I can't believe, every time I look at it, I just can't believe how wonderful it is. And that's not talking on myself. That's just like, I get to work with these wonderful artists. And you know, I had years to make, like we made like, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours worth of music for the game. Like what a privilege to be able to do that. But like, I'm very happy with the game. I can't believe all the work that everyone's done on it, and I feel good about the release. So I'm kind of more worried about like, what am I going to do with myself? Like on the Monday after, you know, like I go for a walk. That seems just bizarrely conceptual. So means a lot. I'm glad it's over. I'm glad to move on to the next thing, and I'm just extremely proud of all the artists who worked on the game. And everyone at Annapurna who supported us, you know, through thick and thin.
You've been out of the music game for a long time, and you moved into game design, and it leads me to ask, does The Artful Escape and the story that you told ever tempt you to go back into music, or has it cemented your love for game design in such a way that you're excited to tell the next story?
No.
Emphatic no.
Sometimes I see like a 12-seater bus on the road, like which was touring, and I get shivers. Like, the things I love about the music industry are being locked away in a cocoon of a music studio, which is something that I got to do a lot of. I love the rock opera fantasy side of rock and roll. The reality is very different. So no, not at all. Never tempted. People do keep asking us if we're going to do like live music stuff for the promotion of the game. And no, I'm never doing it. No, I love games. You know, you feel like you're on this wild frontier. There's just so many ideas to explore. You know, it's still kind of in its black and white version. If you compare it to cinema, it's just so much to explore. And you know, every day I'm doing something crazy and new. I'm, recording Carl Weathers, or I'm in the studio recording alien noises or illustrating. Great place to be.
Johnny, this has been a wild journey for you. What was your biggest misconception you think original going into this project, and what you've learned these years spending on it?
Biggest misconception of gaming: time. Things take 10 times longer. It's very, as an artist, it's very counterintuitive, just the whole process of making games. But I think Unreal Engine have really pushed game development in a direction that's a little bit more aimed at people like me who come from different artistic mediums. I think managing people, being a boss, is really weird. I'm just someone who wants everyone to be happy in the workplace, which isn't something you can always achieve. But managing people is difficult. Being a boss is difficult, like doing accounting stuff. I'm sorry, that's such a boring answer, isn't it? It's the accounting, it's the numbers.
Do you think that, just your generation, what you grew up with as far as pop culture, whether it's music, cinema, or video games, like I saw a lot of that come into your game, the Faithful Escape, the Artful Escape. Like, can you talk about some of the inspirations? Obviously, I saw some Close Encounters of the Third Kind in there, and some other throwbacks that infect you.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind. If you just remove Richard Dreyfuss from that film, it's like the greatest film ever. Like, it's like, I'm not sure why Richard Dreyfuss is in there. Everything else about that film is just wonderful. And he's just kind of stumbling around. Anyway, I'll keep going. But there's definitely different musical influences throughout the world. There's some on one of the worlds it's like Paul Simon and Talking Heads and that kind of Afrobeat stuff. And then one world's definitely more Pink Floyd, those kind of less distorted, more melodic guitars. And then there's heaps of Bill and Ted stuff. Obviously, just the wild idea of just pulling the guitaring out and shredding is just very Bill and Ted. And then there's there's so many weird there's a little Apocalypse Now reference in one bit. And yes, it's pop culture heavy, I will say. Absolutely.
Awesome. And then last question is, when does your game come out? What platforms will it be at launch?
It's coming out on the 9th of September on Xbox and Steam.